may have to abbreviate the month of December, but when you do that, you put a full stop and of course a comma to separate it from the other one. Of course, this is an indication that December is abbreviated. Months like December, February, January, November, such months, because of the fact that they're pretty long, can be abbreviated. But for months like June, July, you don't abbreviate such months because they're pretty short. And now when you have done this, of course, as you may have learned, the informal letter allows the opportunity to make use of colloquial expressions and of course to be informal, okay, to be informal. So you have the liberty to use words. And of course, if there are certain expressions that are peculiar to a number of persons that are not peculiar, that are not generalized, you're expected to open up brackets and explain such words, especially if they are indigenous words in your languages. So you're supposed to explain them in a bracket. And don't forget, for an informal letter, you end by saying that's a superscription. You end by saying, oh, that's right, yours, without apostrophe. Okay, you know you don't put an apostrophe. Yours sincerely or yours faithfully, then comma. Okay, after that you put your name. If your name is Innocent James Ofosu, you don't need to write your surname. You only simply write to say yours faithfully, comma, okay, Innocent. Do you understand? So you don't need to write your surname, your middle name, and all of that. Of course, the person you're writing already knows you, okay, or it's believed to know you, so you don't need to write Innocent James Ofosu and all of that. You simply need to write Innocent, and that will be that for. Of course, you know, for your informal letter, you don't need to sign. You just need to end it up like this. Of course, this should be capitalized. This is small letter, and that's how it goes. And that's for that. Now the last one here says the Literary and Debating Society of your school is organizing a debate entitled "Capital Punishment Should be meted out to people who embezzle public funds. Write your argument for or against the proposition." This is an argumentative essay where you, of course, you need to title these two. And of course, from your title, your reader is expected to know on whose side of the argument you belong. You're not expected to straddle the argument, as it were, talking about meting out punishment and not meting out punishment. From the word go, your reader is expected to know exactly whether you are arguing for meting out punishment on those, capital punishment, on those who embezzle public funds, or not to mete out capital punishment on them. That should be made clear from the beginning of your essay, so that you don't leave your reader guessing on whose side of the argument is this young man, or on whose side of the argument is this young woman. Your point should be made succinctly clear. Either you're arguing for, and of course, you expected to run into the other lane of your opponent, as it were, okay? And of course, imagine or assume some of the things he would say and debunk such claims if you do have enough evidence to do so. And that is it for the argumentative essay. What will engage our attention next will be summary. Of course, you know the summary has 30 marks. Okay, did I tell you? Sorry, let's go back to continuous writing. There you were asked to write not less than 450 words. Some students are of the habit of counting the words 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 until it gets up to 450. No one is interested in that. If you do that, you're going to waste your time in the examination hall. You are expected to count the number of words you write in a line. Let us assume you write, okay, let us assume this is your first line. You say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The next one, 1, 2, 3, 4. The third one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The fourth one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You cannot assume that for each line you write 5 words. What that means is that you multiply 5 by the number of the entire lines you have written. If If it gets up to 440, 45, it's within that neighborhood, okay? You're not supposed to insist that until it gets up to 450 words before you pen up. No, it should be within that ambit, okay? But you are not expected to count the words from the beginning to the end. That is really going to waste your time when you just have 45 minutes to spend on continuous writing. I'm sure that is very clear to you. You have to follow these steps, otherwise you waste your time in the continuous writing, and that's really going to affect you in other places. Okay, right now, the focus would be on Section C summary. Section C summary carries 30 marks. And what are you expected to do? First of all, look at this question before you go into the passage. It says, in 2 sentences, one for each, give reasons why local council resorted to the use of sanitary inspectors. 2, that's B rather. In 2 sentences, one for each, state the reason why vaccines are administered. In 2 sentences, one for each, mention the effects of viruses on an individual. What are you supposed to know? This is what you're supposed to know. Summary simply means an attempt, as it were, to abridge a longer version of an essay or of a speech. So if someone asks you to summarize something like this: my mother went to the market, bought 3 spoons, met Mr. Ken, met Madam Ada. She quickly went to another shop, bought a stove. She went to the 3rd shop, bought a knife. Finally went to the last shop, bought 2 fork spoons. And someone says, in 1 sentence, tell me, what did your mother buy at the market? What are you supposed to say? You are not supposed to list those items one by one. There is a generic name for spoon, knife, stove, fork, and all of that. There is one name for that, and that is utensils. So you could say, my mother bought kitchen utensils at the market today. That's a full sentence. Then you put a period. You are not expected to list those things. If you begin to list those things and mention the people your mom ran into in the market, then you're not summarizing. In fact, you would discover that at the end of the day, you would have a longer version of the copy you were asked to abridge. And that makes caricature of your attempts to summarize. So summary means making or offering an abridged copy of a longer version. So you are expected to look for a term or 2 with which you're supposed to summarize, as it were, whatever expression that is pretty long. So we have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paragraphs to read. I shall quickly run through the paragraphs and of course come back to the question. Okay, let's read. You are advised to spend 30 minutes on this section. Read the passage below carefully and answer the questions on it. Now you listen. The government and the people of our nation are becoming increasingly aware of the need for healthy environment. Many deadly diseases which are highly contagious are as a result of unhygienic habits such as the pollution of our water supply, careless defecation in public places, the careless disposal of refuse, and the eating of bad food. It has been a matter of great concern to note in the recent years that the frequent outbreak of various epidemics, especially measles, chickenpox, yellow fever, malaria, sleeping sickness, dysentery, and diarrhea, which have all resulted in the unnecessary deaths of both young and old. These infectious diseases, which are so contacted, are spread by such agents as flies, mosquitoes, bad water, bad food, and human feces, which provide a haven for the germs of these diseases. In order to help the people develop good health habits and maintain a healthy environment, many local councils have now resorted to the use of sanitary inspectors, whose duty is to visit people's compounds or streets to ensure they maintain good, clean environments, that they do not litter the streets and homes with rubbish, that human feces are not thrown about or exposed, that people do make use of proper toilet facilities or water closets rather than open pit latrines or the buckets, that sewage pipes and open gutters are not blocked, and that everywhere is kept clean. Many diseases which can easily become fatal can be prevented through vaccinations. The government and the health workers are accordingly encouraging people to get vaccinated against these diseases. Smallpox, cholera, tetanus, and measles can be prevented by vaccination. When people are vaccinated, a weak strain of the disease-causing germ is produced into their bodies. The person's body quickly provides immunity against the germ by producing the appropriate germ-fighting antibodies, which will later prevent any further or future infection of the person. It is through vaccination that smallpox has been eradicated. Some infectious diseases are carried by known germs for which effective clinical treatment and cures have been developed. However, many illnesses have no known cures so far. Indeed, many obscure diseases caused by viruses are incurable and usually fatal. Virologists, people who study viruses, say that they are obscure biochemical substances, half living and half non-living, which are highly toxic. They poison the body system, causing great pain, malfunctioning, and eventual debility and death. The discovery of penicillin by Dr. Fleming and the subsequent development and use of antibiotics in the form of syrups, capsules, and tablets has been a major breakthrough in the fight against diseases and epidemics. Today, many epidemics, which in the past wiped out towns and villages, can be controlled and even prevented by the use of appropriate doses of antibiotics and vaccines, or even simple preventive hygienic measures.